Have you ever thought of a Medea Meets the Clumps? You know I love to come in here and give you some ideas.
Listen to me. I would love to work with Eddie. Eddie won't return my.
Have you at any point thought about a media meets the clusters? You realize I love to come in here and give you a few thoughts. Pay attention to me. I couldn't want anything more than to work with Eddie. Eddie won't get back to me, so perhaps one day we'll have a discussion. I love Louis. Yet, I think we had to place Louis in it, but no, I think we had to put a white individual. No doubt Central was like with the cuz. The entire cast is dark. This huge person tell another gigantic person. Why should this matter? Jared about the dark space traveler, they've been sending monkeys in space beginning around 1962. Eddie Murphy has been the commonly recognized name for a really long time. Yet it's been really clear that the majority of his movies were by white makers, albeit this is such nothing to joke about. Eddie had as of late affirmed that his substantial evidence that dark makers like Tyler Perry would rather not work with dark works at all. His admission has sent a hurricane storm in the butt. Sinus, we should dig into Eddie's considering uncovering that has set Hollywood aburst. Okay, so we as a whole realize that Murphy won basic recognition for his depiction in the historical satire. The movie sees him depict entertainer Rudy B. Moore, whose shot to popularity was during the 1970s when he made the famous dark, double-dealing Pym character Dolomite. Now the principal character, Beam Moore, had a very much like foundation as Tyler Perry, as he made an imaginary person that shot him to basic A's. Doesn't it sound like media completely anyway? Given Murphy's acclaimed character's history and Tyler's own achievements adjusted, one could feel that the two media characters would develop nearer, which is a long way from what truly happened. It was stunning to note, as at one point Eddie himself commended that Tyler was the genuine encapsulation of his personality. Today, Rudy Moore would be Tyler Perry on a superficial level. Perry appears as though he just sprung up, yet he was making these plays and doing media all around, so he had a grassroots following. That is what Rudy did when he went, hello, I got this thing, I realize it's great. I put stock in it and I will proceed to work and sell it out of the storage compartment and get it rolling. Your conviction and your volition gets you anything you desire. He doesn't have any of this stuff that should make you. He has a bot stomach and he's not an attractive person. He doesn't have anything and his stuff is really unrefined, and he went through and got his demonstration from vagrants in the rear entryway. In spite of having such an honorable impression of Tyler, Eddie has never worked with him. Curiously, Eddie once conceded that he contacted Eddie for numerous events, yet was met with radio quiet. I couldn't imagine anything better than to work with Eddie. Eddie won't get back to me. Perhaps one day we'll have a discussion. Yet Eddie, I think Eddie arrived at a spot in his life like, look, I've done everything, I've seen it, I got harmony out, so I don't realize I'd varies I much want to work with Eddie on anyway. The word on the road is that Eddie could have been copied to his initial a long time in his shooting profession. You see, Eddie has forever been very glad for his African American legacy, and honestly, that in spite of the fact that there was no out and out dismissal, it was never simple for him to make a major name in the business. As far as my work and my vocation race has never been an issue. I've been making motion pictures for a considerable length of time, and not even once could I not get a film since I was dark. I rose above that stuff, yet this shouldn't imply that I left paradise and into Hollywood. I'm an individual of color who was brought into the world in America. I'm African American. It's absolutely impossible that you must face these. Notwithstanding that Eddie's likewise raised his voice against the absence of variety in Hollywood, he proceeded with, it's been this way for a really long time, yet it's not soon after African American. It's likewise about ladies and different minorities. Two white men maintain this business. It's forever been this way now. These were not words on Murphy's part, as he's been attempting to create work open doors for his kindred dark entertainers. Several years back, Murphy uncovered that vital constrained the makers into coming to America to remember a white person for the movie coordinated by John Landis. The 1988 rom-com featuring Murphy was a business achievement, appearing at number 1 in the cinema world. It additionally denoted Fundamental's most elevated procuring movie that year. While talking on Jimmy Kimmel, Live with Arino Lobby shared that the studio pushed for a white person to join the cast, which was generally contained dark entertainers corridor. Not that I cherish Louis yet. think we had to place Louis in it. I think we had to place in a white individual. Murphy agreed, adding his own clarification for the projecting course. It was debilitating to know that while it is still delegating that fundamental felt a sense of urgency to order that a white person be added to the storyline of Coming to America when even presently, all white casts keep on being the norm in Hollywood enterprises, sustaining the possibility that these kinds of stories are unbiased anyway. Films highlighting characters of variety should work 2 times as difficult to collect a similar degree of financing and openness, since studio chiefs mistakenly expect they will not connect with standard crowds, and shows how imbued the racial separation is in the personalities of individuals. The bigoted influence of you realize that might be needed a white individual in there. And I feel that show thank you and that you realize, they need perma had the cash in to push, and they word on the road is that Murphy definitely realizes what occurred with Tyler Perry and Monique. And that may be the motivation behind why Eddie has pulled towards Tyler. Every one of you could definitely realize that Oprah and Monique had a fight when they were cooperating on the acclaimed film Valuable. You see, Valuable was only a free film when she was endorsed as the primary lead. Well, after the film got extraordinary surveys at the Sundance Movie Celebration, Tyler bounced the transport and endorsed in and as a leader maker at the hour of the episode. Monique was struggling as Oprah and others in the group were attempting to drive her into doing a press crusade for nothing. She repeated that Tyler are attempted to mislead her in doing the mission by giving her bogus expectation around millions that will come in subsequently. It's essential to remember that Monique was youthful and experienced at the time. It was likewise a first significant undertaking. The entertainer made sense of that. Tyler maintained that her should waive her legitimate remuneration for future tasks that had not as yet even emerged. Listen, you may truly need to consider advancing this movie, since in such a case that you get designated for an Oscar. Grant your next movie is $3 to $5 million. Monique wouldn't join in and later gave an assertion to the Hollywood Journalist communicating a dissatisfaction with the makers. I'm doing a syndicated program. I'm doing a parody visit. I have children. I have a cycle of a margin time and I will exploit it, so I'm not going any place in light of the fact that I'm not committed to go any place. I've done my part. After Monique baffled Tyler, Rappel, and different makers of Valuable, she uncovered that her vocation endured, and they marked her with a red letter of being challenging to work with. Soon after the origin of this quarrel, Monique guaranteed that Valuable chief Lee Daniels by and by communicated lament in regards to the manner in which makers have treated her. Anyway, Tyler Perry has declined to freely apologize. Monique supposedly uncovered how she had an outlook on the abuse she had confronted. I felt for frustration. I felt the very treacheries and imbalances that all people of color who came to Hollywood before me felt periodically. Individuals call that outrage. They call it sharpness. They call it temperamental. They give it this large number of titles, acknowledges what it truly is. Monique asserted that it is consistently ladies who are lowballed so gravely